I've decided I'll steam some reflex onto the other limb of the Scruffy U bow. Now this is a plywood former that I've obviously used before for a bit of bending, and if I offer the curved limb up to that, and I've drawn a line on it where it goes, I've just allowed an extra sort of 1/4 of an inch of bend there, just a little bit, because often when you bend something it springs back a bit. That'll also give me a nice shoulder to butt the end of the limb against when I steam it. So I'll saw that out. This is a little bit thin really, so I'll probably just nail on a couple of side cheeks so I can have a couple of bits of wood sticking up just as a guide to allow me to pull the bow down onto it. And I'll probably put a strap of metal or something across here so I can just jam the tip under there, bend it down, and off we go. But I'll steam the end of the bow first in one of my little steam chests. Here we go, section of black drain pipe. Oh, that'll be just about, I think that'll be long enough to steam where the bend is, because the bend's really at this end. So get the end of the bow in that, get some steam on it, jig it all up and bend it. Begs the question, why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing it for several reasons. One, it will make the bow look prettier. It will give me something to do, keep me out of mischief. It will be pushing the boundaries slightly, and I haven't got a bow that looks like that as well. But really, you can sum it all up in one word. Fun! I'm doing it for the fun of it. Right, let's sawn out the new curve on the former. And as I'll put the end of the bow on it and bend it down, you'll see this point here doesn't sit nice and tidily on there. So what I'll do is I'll cut away a little bit extra just where that bulge is, so it will sit snugly down onto the former. So you can see I've marked it out. I'll just cut that out like that. And that should allow it to pull down snugly there without putting undue strain on the belly of the bow there. So that's what I was worried about. That's why I was slightly reluctant to do it, because you can see there's the central pith of the log there at that point. But there's not too many knots. There's one that's virtually disappeared, so I should be alright as long as I get it good and hot in the steamer. I'm all set up for steaming the other tip of the bow, but I thought perhaps I'd go into a bit more detail this time and show you how and why I set it up. The important thing is preparation. So I've got my jig here. The tip of the bow will jam into there. You can see it's just a strip of metal, sort of builder's strapping. And I'll force the end of the limb down between these two. That's just as a guide, a couple of bits of MDF. So I'll pull it down, I'll clamp it with a G-clamp, just over like that. And the trick is to get it out of the steam onto the jig, bent, clamped up as soon as possible. And that's the curved end. Here we have it in the jig. There's the steamer, not turned it on yet. Pipe goes into the drain pipe here with lots of foam to stop the steam escaping. But the steam's got to be allowed to leak out this end, and also water's got to be allowed to drip out here as well where it condenses. What I might do is I've got some old bits of duvet, drape it over there to keep the heat in, because the hotter you keep it the better it will steam. There's no point thinking you're putting steam on it, but in fact it's just turning into hot water as soon as it gets into the steam chest. The biggest mistake people make steaming is they don't get it hot enough and they don't give it long enough. So for the sake of wrapping a bit of blanket around it, you don't want to get the job wrong. So anyhow, I'll get on with that. Trying to think if there's anything else I should be telling you. Preparation's the key, I was saying. Well, there's one obvious thing. There's the limb with the end I want to bend here, and the jig, it's pointing the other way. So if I want to pull it off the steam chest and whack it straight in the jig, I need to have this round the other way. So there we are, they're both pointing the same way now. I should be able to pull it straight out the steam chest, tuck it in there, pull it down, clamp it. If only I had a clamp to hand. Let's get a clamp ready. And what I'll do is I'll put the clamp on it like that, and that will just hold the back end down. That's about it. I'll turn the steamer on. That'll probably takes quite a while to get up to steam, sort of 10 minutes, just about long enough to have a cup of tea. Right, this has had about 40 minutes steaming, which should be enough. And you can see in the background there, I've got the G-clamp on the rig. I'd added a little block of wood to allow for the width of the bow, so that should clamp all right. Now let's see how quickly I can get on there. Hopefully this video will turn out all right. If it doesn't, you won't see it. Straight out, straight in. It bends quite nicely. Yeah, it didn't take a lot to bend it. No sign of cracking or popping. Nip that up. Well, you can appreciate how quickly I got that out the steam and onto the jig. And you can see here how the bulge on the back of the bow sits into that cutout I made. Tip's held under there. There's only a slight gap, so I pretty much got it pulled down how I wanted. It's had about 4 hours now to cool down, so it's certainly plenty cold enough. I won't strain it until it's had maybe a day or so to recover. But let's take the clamp off and see how much it bounces back, and then have a look generally and see what the curve is like. There you can see that's bounced back. That's bounced back a tad. I can't seem to pull it out of there for some reason. Perhaps the steam has caused the wood to swell. But fortunately I did that with a self tapper anyway, so I'll just pop this off. There we go. Let's put it down and have a look. Let's go that way. There you can see. That's quite nice. I haven't gone mad. It could have done with a little bit more, but I didn't want to risk overstressing it. It's certainly more in balance now. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I'll get that on the tiller maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after. Anyhow, that's it for now. Cheerio. Probably see you next year now.